Okay, so because going to see Infinity War is such an event for most people, I'm going to be keeping this review spoiler free because there are some crazy things that happen in this movie and I don't want to ruin any of it. For the sake of this being a review though, I won't be going into any of the specifics of the story, but just talking generally about the plot. With all that out of the way, let's start the review. Unless you've been living under a rock, you may have heard about this cool little indie film by Marvel Studios that's turning heads called Avengers: Infinity War. And, whew, boy, this movie is a lot of movie, but a good one, and it ranks among the best Marvel films released at this point. Let's face it, this movie could have gone horribly wrong. With so many characters, side plots, and backstories which have been built up over the last 10 years to account for, it's a feat in itself that this film isn't a complete mess tonally and structurally. As a film that is part one of a two-part story, Infinity War still manages to feel like a complete movie in and of itself, and that's one of the many reasons I think it works as well as it does, and why I like it so much. Speaking of, I'm not an avid fan of the MCU or a Marvel fanboy or anything like that. In recent years, I've become pretty tired of superhero movies in general. Even the recent Marvel films like Black Panther and Thor Ragnarok are entertaining in the moment, sure, with some noteworthy aspects, but I don't feel any long-lasting emotions when I watch them. I do feel, however, that Infinity War has given the franchise the boost it needed for me to become invested again. And that's due to one of the key things this movie has: emotion. But I'll talk more on that in a bit. All the characters that have been developed at this point work exceptionally well on screen together. Watching characters from all corners of the MCU collide together and interact with one another is simply a joy and one of the best aspects of these Avengers films. However, with exception to a few, most of the heroes are really never given a moment to individually shine and stand out like the first Avengers film, which for me at least was a bit disappointing. I guess it's understandable though, considering just how many characters there are to keep track of. The action scenes throughout are fun, and it's exciting to see characters chaining their powers together in stylish ways. The shaky cam the Russo brothers used in the action scenes of The Winter Soldier and Civil War returns, but is considerably less headache-inducing than it was in Civil War, and actually feels like it has somewhat of a purpose here. It adds to the stress and confusion our heroes face, but also the overwhelming nature of Thanos and his army. Also, the visual effects are, for the most part, well done, the standout being the CG work to capture Josh Brolin's performance as Thanos. And this is the part where I talk about Thanos. Thanos continues Marvel's recent efforts at better villains, creating a well-developed antagonist whose motivations you can understand and go beyond being evil for the sake of it. It's like Marvel have listened to fan complaints about the weak villains in their movies and have actually put in effort to improve them with bad guys like Ego, Vulture, Killmonger, and now Thanos, all showing signs of Marvel's attention on not just creating another run-of-the-mill boring antagonist. There is this sense of danger whenever he appears on screen, and that sense of danger is exactly what these movies have been missing, besides villains with crazy goals that you can oddly sympathize with and who believe they are the heroes of their own stories. But at least they've been working on that. Honestly, Thanos feels like he's the main character of the movie here, and I love that. One complaint I've had with the MCU, especially the more recent movies such as the aforementioned Black Panther and Thor Ragnarok, is that they all generally follow a similar formula, have very little to no consequences, and I never really care for the safety of the main characters because the stakes are considerably low, and our heroes appear invincible. And if our heroes appear invincible, then why should we care what happens to them? However, unlike Marvel films, the stakes in Infinity War are the highest they've ever been, which made me even more invested because the consequences of failure are very real. There are actually high stakes in this one, and they aren't messing around here. To match the high stakes, Infinity War's tone is bleak when it needs to be, but doesn't abandon the signature Marvel humor we've come to expect. The film juggles comedy and drama pretty seamlessly, and to me it wasn't as obvious that the drama had been compromised or paused for the sake of telling a funny joke. The movie weaves through comedy, action, drama seamlessly, and yet it also delivers some genuinely surprising and emotional moments. And that's what I'm talking about when I say the movie has emotion. The ending of the movie is great in that way because it made me feel something. I'm a big supporter of going to movies that provoke an emotional reaction in the audience because that's the beauty of what film can do, and to finally have some gut-punching emotional moments in this seemingly never-ending landscape of comic book movies makes me really excited for the future of these types of films again. If you've been following these films from the beginning, if you're a fan of the franchise, or you've even felt fatigued by how these movies generally play it safe like I have, I feel as though Infinity War will satisfy everyone. Who knows, I may be wrong, but I really enjoyed Infinity War, and it makes me look forward to the second part of this story. It's funny because when you look at it, the world-ending plot the story follows is nothing original for the superhero genre, yet all in all, Infinity War was just a bloody good time. I really do hope that Marvel continues to make films like this, ones that make audiences have strong emotional reactions. Because, as I said, this movie has given the MCU the boost out of the monotony of yearly releases I believe it deserved. My only fear is that I feel that boost may be short-lived, but for now at least, Infinity War does put a smile on my face.